Hello dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Ghulam Sanwar and today I'll be discussing a very important rule in English, that is sentences, kinds of sentences, and you'll find this rule everywhere from 6th onwards, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and in up to postgraduate level. But students sometimes feel that how they can remember this, how they can remember different types of sentences. So I'll give you a very simple way how you can remember these different kinds of sentences that we generally use, take in usage in our day-to-day life. But before talking about these kinds of sentences, let me first of all tell you a question. I will tell you a riddle first. What English letter in English alphabet? See what I say. Just think. What English letter in English alphabet? These are two different things. English letter and English alphabet. That's why I say this. Because different, or I have seen many students, they are confused between a letter and alphabet. Alphabet means a group of letters, A to Z. These are 26 letters in English, and these 26 letters are called as an alphabet. So in English alphabet, how many letters are there? 26. A is the first letter of English alphabet and Z is the last letter of English alphabet. Now, can you say how many alphabets are now there in English? Mostly say that there is only one alphabet, A to Z. No, there are two alphabets. I can say how? A to Z, these are letters, 26 letters, one alphabet, and there is one more, that is IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. That is one more, IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. What is this International Phonetic Alphabet? In this kind of alphabet, there are 44 symbols, and these 44 symbols give us sounds, different sounds, 44 sounds. When we write it, this becomes a symbol. When we speak it, it becomes a sound. So there are 44 symbols, and these symbols are consonants and vowels, that you know. I have nothing to do with this thing. I have to tell you first regarding the sentences, but let us come step by step. So a letter, when we combine these letters together, it becomes a syllable, or it becomes a part of a word. Sometimes it becomes a complete word. For example, I write here, I am in, TO2, SO so. Anything. You can see that in these two letters, one is vowel letter. So you cannot find in English a word without a vowel letter or vowel sound. If there is no vowel letter in it, there can be a vowel sound. For example, I write here sky. I write here cry. Here you see Y is there. So it gives us a vowel sound. No doubt it is semi-vowel, but you cannot find in English a word or a syllable without a vowel sound or vowel letter. And sometimes even one letter is a complete word when it is a vowel. So here the pronunciation is a. So this when I read A, that is the first letter of English alphabet. When I read a, so this is a monophthong, that is a vowel sound. Okay, now when we combine these letters together, one more riddle I can tell you. What English letter in English alphabet has a lot of water in it? Can you? Yes, it is C. When we write letter C, so it gives us a sound of this word, C, lot of water. There are different riddles that you keep in mind. And sometimes these riddles help us even to remember the spelling part. For example, I'll give you one more. That is, what is it that comes once in a year? Once in a year and twice in a week. Can you give me the answer? What is it that comes once in a year? When we think the meaning part of the word, we think it otherwise. But see, once in a year, here it is E, and once in twice in a week, it is E. So the letter E. So letter is clear now. This will help us sometimes to remember even the spelling part. For example, when you are sometimes feeling suspicious about week and week. Week, that means 7 days. And you will remember by this, keeping this riddle in mind. You will remember the spelling of this. So this means kamzor jise aap kehte hain. Okay, let it keep this thing aside. Now, these letters, when we keep them together, these become syllables or sometimes words, and then when we combine different words together, it forms a meaningful word, sometimes in a jumbled way, but putting different these letters together, these form different words. So we say that when we keep it in jumbling order, then it is not a word, but when it is a meaningful, then we call it a word. Then with many letters, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, and sometimes with many syllables in it. Then afterward, let me tell you regarding phrase. Can you tell me what is a phrase? Yes? Okay. See, phrase means a group of words, more than a word. 2 words, 3 words, for example, I will say you pen. Now, a marker pen, a marker. Or I can say a girl, an intelligent girl. Girl is a word, and an intelligent girl, that's a phrase. Boy, word simply. Then I say a wonderful boy, or a beautiful, I can say an intelligent boy. Once again, handsome boy. So this is a phrase. So letter, word, phrase. Then we come to clause. Clause is a group of words, and sometimes this clause form a complete meaning. Complete. Sometimes a clause can be a sentence, and sometimes the part of a sentence. So there are different clauses, nothing to do it, but let me come to the point, what is a sentence? Now, if I put you a question, what do you mean by a sentence? A group of words, okay, that give us a complete sense. And then there are different kinds of sentences now, because my topic is kinds of sentences. Let me tell you the kinds of sentences. And I'll give you a very simple way how you can remember this thing by keeping this thing in mind, because generally students forget. But the way that I discuss, you will learn 2 things when I talk about kinds of sentence. One is the conversation part. That's very important for us, for the students, because our students, you are weak, because you are weak in speaking. Why so? What is the reason behind that? Because you don't speak, you don't try, you don't practice. So when there are many rules or many tactics that you use for conversation, so that you may learn how to speak things. And one of them is dialogue writing, dialogue speaking. Why do we say dialogue writing? Because we write dialogues, and when we speak to each other, that is dialogue speaking. We or you must try always to speak with each other. Let me write a dialogue here first. here is a dialogue between a teacher and a student. Teacher says to his student, what? Have you completed the task? And see, here I will put a note of interrogation after this sentence. This is a sentence, but it is a question. And when we talk about a question, there are different kinds of questions and different kinds of words that we generally use in a question. And generally we use auxiliaries and WH words. Then question tags or tag questions like that. Yes and no type questions. I will not show all these things here. Then later on I will discuss these things where from interrogative sentences come. Write the dialogue between the teacher and the student. The teacher asks the student, have you completed the task that I gave you yesterday? Student says, no sir, I have not completed it as yet, or I have not written it. So he is not able to show his notebook. Why? Because he has not done the homework that the teacher has asked him to write. Okay? Now, once again the teacher says, teacher is a little bit angry, and he says to the student, sit here or sit there in that corner. Let you do that homework here. So, I'll write here. Sit here and let you complete the work. Once again, I put a full stop. Here I put a full stop. You have to keep this thing in mind because these punctuation marks say what type of sentences we are writing, you are writing. Do you understand? In the very first sentence, I've used a question mark, interrogation mark, note of interrogation. And you need not write a full stop here or full stop here what some students write. Because this dot is enough. This says full stop and you need not write a full stop after this or before this. So, interrogation mark. Then, this is dialogue between a student and a teacher in a class. Teacher says, have you completed the work or the task? Student says, no sir, I have not completed it as yet. The sentence is in negative. Okay? Teacher, sit here and let you complete the work. So it is a sort of order. And I'll tell you later on, because this is, it made the teacher angry and he just told the student to sit there and let you do that work here. And student says, student, okay sir, I'll do it here right now. Student agrees to sit and to write the homework. Now the teacher, after some time, the student comes with the homework or with the work that he has written there in the class and shows it to the teacher. The teacher, while seeing this, feels happy and he says, wonderfully done. I have not written this thing. Wonderfully done. Like a good boy. And this, see what kind of punctuation mark I have put it here. That is called as exclamation mark. Now, when you are asked just to say how many types of sentences are there in English, generally there are 4 types of sentences in English. 4 types of sentences. but that we write, that we generally use, and keeping it usage. No doubt there are other types like simple, complex, compound. There are other these relative clauses, etc., etc., other types of sentences, but here that we generally use. Now see, a simple dialogue with 5 sentences. Why 5? These sentences are generally, the grammarians write it, grammarians, before this, these were named as this, the first one as interrogative. So the first sentence is here as interrogative. Interrogative sentence. And what we do in interrogative sentences? In interrogative sentences, we generally use questions. And how questions are framed, I will tell you that later on. But see what actually I mean to say. In the second part here, the student, no sir, I have not completed it yet. This is a negative statement. Negative statement. See the word I have used here. Statement. So there are the sentences. First kind is interrogative sentences. How these are formed, I will tell you later on. The second thing is the statement. In this statement, generally students get confused. These are 2 types of statements. One is that we affirm, that we give it in positive sense, not in negative. That is why we call it as positive. And we say sometimes assertive. We say sometimes declarative, optative, like that. So these are the names. But there are 4 types of sentences. What? Interrogative, that is the first. And what is the second? Statement. And in statement there are 2 types of statements. One is positive, the second is negative. Here it is a negative statement. So it comes in statement that you generally call as declarative, that you generally call as assertive, leaving that thing aside. Say 4 types of sentences. One is interrogative, the second is statement, and statements can be of 2 types. What? Positive and negative. See that I have given here in this diagram. Sit here and let you complete your work. This is a sort of order or advice, we can say. So a sentence wherein you find order, advice, suggestion, request, these are imperative type of sentences, called as imperative type of sentences. And here you find this, sit here and let you complete the work, whether the teacher suggests him or whether he orders him there. So this is imperative type of sentence. What is the first one? Interrogative. What is the second one? Negative, statement. What is the third one? Wherein you find order, you find a suggestion, you find advice. So that is imperative type of sentence. And now citizen, okay sir, I'll do it here right now. So he agrees, affirms. So he says this is called as statement, but it is a positive statement. Positive statement. So once again a statement. Okay? Statements are of 2 types. One is positive and the second is negative. So once again the same kind of sentence. Now the last one, wonderfully done, like a good boy. So the teacher puts here the exclamation mark. So a sentence where there is some happiness, there is some joy, there is sometimes some sorrowfulness or something, some wish. Always these are called as exclamatory type of sentences, and we always write exclamation mark at the end of these exclamatory sentences. Now it is clear now. There are 4 kinds of sentences. These are what? Interrogative, negative, imperative, positive, and imperative, then statement once again, and then there is exclamatory. A very simple way how you can, if I ask you now just to sit in groups and write a dialogue between the father and the son, or some students will write a dialogue between a mother and her daughter, like this, any thing that they can do, but makes 5 sentences like this, and you will be able to clear the difference between different types of sentences. So this is your homework that I give you. Now let me tell you, when we write these interrogative sentences, how you can be able to use these interrogative sentences. What are the words that you generally use in it? I'll tell you. In interrogative sentences, we begin a sentence with a question word. With a question word, we begin. When we begin a sentence with a question word, and the meaning of the sentence shows that it is a question. No doubt sometimes we write some such clauses where we do not use this, we use these what I say WH question words, but those are also exclamatory. For example, I say, what a beautiful pen it is. So this is not a question, this is an exclamatory sentence, because it shows surprise. It means that this is a very beautiful pen as a statement. We can change then one sentence to another. While talking about interrogative sentences, we use WH question words first. Who, when, where, why, what, even how, etc. And you can just put some questions, make some dialogues. For example, what is your name? Where are you from? What do you prefer to read today? What are you going to do in your recess period? When are you visiting my home? Like that. Then put interrogation mark. This is one thing. Different questions. Then one more question. One more type of question when we use auxiliaries. There are 2 kinds of auxiliaries. I'll just tell you and you will remember it. I'll give you mind map. Auxiliaries are of 2 kinds. For example, why do I say you these things? For questions, auxiliaries. There are primary auxiliaries and there are modal auxiliaries. Both these auxiliaries, when we set out a sentence with these, it means that we are putting a question. For example, I'll say here, do, does and did. Do, does and did. Then the second primary auxiliary may do, then have form, have, has and had. Then in be form we use is, am, are, was, were, etc. Being and being. We use these primary auxiliaries for questions. For example, when we have to write negative, I have done this work. Another will say, I have not done this work. Do you go to school? No, I don't go today because I was a little bit busy at home. I have not to go. Do you go to school every day? No, I don't go every day. I go 5 days a week. So that's why I say the statement. Once again, interrogative and question formation is very important for you. Try to make different types of questions. Inshallah, I'll also show you how to frame different types of questions. That's very important for communication purpose, for students like you. Very important. There are different ways how we can. But keeping this mind map in mind, you can make different structures. When we use is, am, or, was, we generally use it with ing form. Also present continuous, past continuous, or present perfect or past perfect continuous. You have already you are aware about these tense forms. Then when we use exclamatory, we sometimes even use WH words also, and sometimes even statements. Then statements are even written in such a way where we put what? This exclamation mark. Very important for you is now very simple way that how we can be able to write different kinds of sentences through dialogue writing. I hope that you will just try in your own homes. Just write what you say, you write it, and you will feel that you have wonderfully understood what I say, different kinds of sentences that are in proper usage that we use in our day-to-day life. This will help in two ways. One, dialogue writing, that is, you will be good in communication with each other, and the second thing is that you will be able to remember the 4 types of sentences, that is interrogative types of sentences, then statements, that is positive and negative type of sentences, then imperative type of sentences where where there is wish, there is surprise, there is happiness, there is sorrow, you find like that, and there are exclamatory type of sentences. I'm talking about exclamatory sentence. And in imperative type of sentences, there is order, there is advice, there is suggestion, there is these things keeping in mind, and this is how you can be able to write different types of sentences. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope that you would at least try in your homes to write different dialogues in the same pattern like this, and you will remember different kinds of these sentences. Thank you very much.